everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Dan at Home. And I don't mean my home in Los Angeles, I mean my home in Arkansas. As I mentioned on the show earlier this week, I am visiting family in Arkansas, and I'm literally sitting in the closet of my bedroom in Arkansas. The room with my comic books and my old clothes. These are my yearbooks from high school. It's not an optimal setup, but it's the best setup that I can do, and there was a lot to talk about today. Of course, Comic-Con at Home is going on right now. There was anticipated to be a lot of New Mutants news, perhaps, as they had a panel today. No change in the release date whatsoever. There was no surprise drop on streaming, as I predicted there might be. As a matter of fact, it might be most notable that they decided to stick with their August 28th theatrical release date. The weird thing about this news is that every other date seems to have changed today. As a matter of fact, not only were there 2020 movies that were moved around, there were movies in 2021, 2022, and beyond. Some of the biggest franchises, we are now starting to see the ripple effect from these release date changes hit them. And so I wanted to put together a video that was a list of the changes that we know of right now that affect all the way from this month to 4 or 5 years down the line. One quick note, I've got a new lighting setup, including a ring light here, and the reflection of the ring light in my glasses, super distracting, but it turns out I also can't see. So I've got these notes here. If you hear crinkling paper, it's because I'm literally putting the notes up to my face so I can read them. Obviously, some wrinkles to iron out here with this Arkansas setup, but we're going to do the best we can. How about that? So the first one I want to talk about that the release date changed, and I'm going to try to go chronologically, more or less, was the movie that we've been counting down to, and that question mark is there for a reason. We've been counting down the countdown to new movies. That movie, Unhinged, which has been slated a couple of times now to be the first theatrical release nationwide once theaters are reopened, has now moved yet again. It was slated to be released on July 31st, which would still have made it the first nationwide release. It has been moved off the schedule to a date TBD. Now, could it move to a date sometime in August where it's still the first nationwide release? That's very possible. But as of right now, August 21st's Antebellum is the first movie currently dated to open nationwide. But here's a weird note. Antebellum is currently scheduled for August 21st. If that movie moves, then the first movie on the schedule to open nationwide currently on August 28th, sticking to its release date, is The New Mutants. So we're running 2 countdowns currently on charts with Dan. One of them is the countdown to new movies, and the other one is the countdown to New Mutants, which has been going on forever. We are approaching a countdown singularity event. If Antebellum moves and no other movie moves into nationwide release first, then our 2 countdowns are going to merge, and it is theoretically possible that they could hit 0 at the exact same time, which by my calculation means that the world will end. Congratulations, we did it. Now, assuming that August 28th isn't some kind of Doc Brown time point convergence that has to be fixed by a time traveler from later on in an alternate timeline, let's go down the list and see where some of these other movies have landed, because there were a lot of release date changes, many of them from Disney, who moved their first major release back yet again, except with a difference this time. Mulan, which has moved several times, was originally scheduled to open back in the spring, was rescheduled, and on the schedule for August 21st. That one has moved. No new date given. Disney said that they will not redate Mulan at this time. TBD. The question with Mulan and the question with a lot of these bigger movies now is, with China's market largely now reopening, will we see Mulan, Tenet, and some of these larger movies open internationally before they open here domestically? That is a big question mark that we don't yet know. A film that has a panel at Comic-Con coming up this weekend, and you would think they might have announced this at the panel, but it came out today, is Bill and Ted Face the Music. Bill and Ted Face the Music was on the theatrical release schedule for August 28th. That was announced today that movie will move a couple of days later. It's moving to September 1st, but it will not be a purely theatrical release. It is moving to select theaters and premium video on demand. So yet another theatrical release, pure theatrical release, that is moving to VOD so that people can watch at home. I'm just excited that I get to see this movie finally, because they've been talking about this movie for years. And now, whether theaters are open or whether they're not open, a lot of people are going to get the chance to see it over the long Labor Day weekend. Wes Anderson's latest film, The French Dispatch, which had a rescheduled date of October 16th from Fox Searchlight, is now TBD. So that movie may move out of 2020 entirely. Obviously, even with an expanded awards season, that could have some big impact. Another movie that people had kind of pegged a lot of awards hopes for was Ridley Scott's latest film, The Last Duel. That movie was co-starring Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, who, along with Nicole Holofcener, co-wrote the screenplay as well, so a return to screenwriting from that duo as well. That movie moved from a Christmas Day opening, which is prime Oscar positioning, to next October. So The Last Duel, which had its production impacted by the shutdowns and stranded or slash allowed Matt Damon to live in a quaint Irish village for many, many months, that movie moves out of awards contention this year entirely and moves to October of 2021 next year. Another movie that had a theatrical release date pushed from earlier this year that was still looking for one is the movie Antlers. It's a horror film produced by Guillermo del Toro. That movie moves out of 2020 completely into 2021. Disney, in addition to announcing a host of Fox delays and reschedulings, and obviously the delay of Mulan, announced that their two key franchises, at least the ones they're putting in the prime December holiday positions for the next several years, have all stepped back 1 year. And of course, I'm talking about Avatar and Star Wars. Let's talk about Avatar first, because fans of those movies, or of that one movie, have been waiting for all of these James Cameron sequels for many years now. Well, that wait got a lot longer today, or at least a year longer, because all of the Avatar release dates that are currently on the board have all been pushed back 1 year. So Avatar 2 moves from December 17th, 2021 to December 15th, 2022. Avatar 2 goes from 2023 to 2024. Avatar 4 goes from 2025 to 2026. And Avatar 5 goes from 2027 to 2028. So we have all the Avatar films taking one step back. That also happened with the other big Disney franchise for December, Star Wars. We were already going to have a break between Star Wars movie. That wait just got a year longer, because the first new Star Wars film that was scheduled moved back from December 16th, 2022 to December 22nd, 2023. Then we have the next one going back from 2024 to 2025, and then the Star Wars film after that, which is reported to be a new trilogy, going from 2026 to 2027. So we're going to have a gap of about 3 years currently, based on the schedule, from the release of The Rise of Skywalker in 2019 to the next Star Wars film, which is currently slated to be released in 2022. Now, that's theatrical film. Of course, we've had The Mandalorian, which has already come out. We're going to get another season of that. But this will be a 3-year gap between Star Wars films, which ironically is what it kind of used to be when we get trilogies. There was 3 years between every one movie. This will be the longest gap for between Star Wars films theatrically since Disney bought the franchise and released The Force Awakens back in 2015. So, will that delay help these Star Wars films? We don't know. The other thing that Disney did was there was an untitled Disney live-action movie on the schedule for December 17th, 2021. That film has been removed from the schedule. Now, what does that say potentially? Well, we talk about the fact that Disney lines up all of their films like ducks in a row, and every time one changes, it's a cascade effect that goes on and on and on. I think what that could mean is that they are planning for the possibility that they're going to have to bump the theatrical release of one movie potentially off the schedule completely, and I mean a Disney movie. One of them is going to have to come off the schedule, much like Artemis Fowl did. Does that mean VOD? Does that mean something else? We don't know yet. But by them removing an untitled live-action Disney film from the schedule completely in 2021, December of 2021, that basically creates a free slot for them to bump a movie back and not have it cascade all the way down the rest of the lineup. So, is it possible that Disney could be positioning another movie to go away from theaters and straight to VOD, maybe straight to Disney Plus, that's already occupying one of these high-profile slots? We don't know. That's one of the questions that's going to be answered in the days and weeks and months to come, but hopefully, please, not years. Also happening today was that the 3 largest theater chains in the United States all announced plans to delay their reopenings. Unhinged was supposed to open on July 31st, which would be a nationwide release. AMC had announced plans to start their reopening process on July 30th. That has now been changed to an indeterminate date. They're still committed to doing it sometime in mid to late August as they prepare for whatever movies might be coming out. We don't really know right now. As I mentioned, Antebellum and New Mutants are now the first two in the chamber. AMC reportedly planning to still open in mid to late August. Regal and Cinemark, the other two large chains in the United States, also announced that they are delaying their plans to reopen their theaters, but they are delaying those indefinitely. They have not put a date on it. They're saying that they're delaying TBD. And even in AMC's statements, pretty much they're following the lead of the studios here. They're not going to reopen until studios start putting movies out again. There's not going to be a big push for studios to open with library titles, it doesn't appear, even though that is partly what China has done, although they're starting to get new titles into their theaters, Hollywood titles at least, starting this weekend. But it really does seem that as the studios go, so go the theater chains, and because all of the upcoming releases just about have been pushed off the schedule, so have the reopening plans of all of these theater chains. So with all of these release date changes happening, let's just look at a list of the notable reopenings, the changes we've seen, and where we stand right now. And this all goes back to earlier this week when we talk about Tenet. Tenet obviously rescheduled for a date TBD. We don't yet know when that's going to be. Unhinged, which was going to open on July 31st, has been rescheduled for a date TBD. Antebellum, currently as of recording this, on the schedule to be open on August 21st. That would make it the first wide release opening here in the United States domestically. Mulan has moved off that date. It is now TBD. Bill and Ted Face the Music is now on VOD on September 1st. New Mutants, shockingly, currently still on the schedule for August 28th, as confirmed today at their Comic-Con panel. They are still sticking by that date. September 4th still has A Quiet Place Part 2. The Conjuring Part 3 has been moved to next summer, June 2021. The King's Man is still on the schedule for September 18th. Candyman has been moved to October 16th, so that pushed back to take the spot of a movie that was pushed to 2021, which was Halloween Kills. Then we have Wonder Woman 1984. That is still on the schedule for October 2nd. And then Death on the Nile, which was scheduled to come out October 9th, is now on the schedule for October 23rd. And then you see those larger movies, which are still scheduled for November and December. No changes right now to any of those dates, but the way things are moving, you have to think that in the next few weeks, especially if things don't start improving, that we could start seeing those dates change and start piling up as well. So, it's been weird the last few cycles of Comic-Con. Obviously, this one is the weirdest of all because there is no actual con in the Comic-Con. The convention itself is not happening. It's these panels that are being watched at home and watched on YouTube. But as it's been for the last several years, during convention weekend, the largest news has come from things that are happening outside of the convention news cycle. Today, it was this slew of release date changes from theaters, from studios, from everywhere. They tend to happen in batches like this. I think it's largely because one movie will change, like a Tenet, and then everybody else changes their plans. We'll probably know fairly soon what Warner Brothers' plans for Tenet are. We know that their plan is not to go VOD, that it is probably to open it up when and where it's safe, which means that large cities like New York and Los Angeles may not get the movie when it opens. It may open overseas as well. This could mean that these other studios, especially when you look at the fact that so many of these movies are TBD, are going to follow that model. You see that so much in Hollywood. When there's a problem to be solved, people kind of sit back and wait to see how someone else solves it, and then if it works, they just do that too. We, I think, are officially in phase 2 as far as what's happening with movie releases. We don't know when these movies are coming out, but it looks like there are going to be changes imminent as to how they come out. Changes bigger even than moving from a theatrical release to video on demand. Thank you for squeezing into this tiny alcove with me. I turned the air conditioner off and it's really hot because we're in the South and the humidity just starts seeping through the walls anytime you turn off the air conditioner. So I'm going to wrap up this video for right now. Thank you so much for joining me. These release date changes are going to shift wildly as we go, so I will try to keep you updated. I'm also keeping an eye on everything that's happening at Comic-Con, at these Comic-Con at Home panels with all the news, so you may see me again this weekend with more breaking news. If nothing else is produced, then you're probably going to see me back on Monday on Charts with Dan, where we will resume the countdowns. We will see if the convergence has begun, if the Thor: The Dark World style extinction level event of the new movies and New Mutants coming together begins. Maybe by then we may very well know that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go turn on the air conditioning, and then we're going to readjust this so it doesn't look quite as much like a hostage video. And I'll see you back very soon with the latest news, reviews, charts, you name it. Till next time, thanks for watching.